I heard you were even responsible for reuniting Kiss after 10 years, even thought you saved Peter Chris's life. Tell us the
Yes,
story.
I did save Peter Chris's life. Well, here's the thing. Now, the first time back in 1989, I got into some trouble with drugs and etc. And that's back when the tabloids were big, and it was a big problem, and it was on the news, and I was getting married to my first ex-wife in January, and planning the wedding. We're going to get married at the Coconut Grove, the last event they had there. It's a famous old place and whatever. And so I had this issue with drugs, and she realized it, and so she said, you're gonna be fired from the show. We're not getting married, and it was a big public thing. And so, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to rehab. Now I went to rehab 100% just to make myself look good and get my job back and my fiance back and have people like me publicly. And then, but after on my 8th day there, my counselor said something to me that really is kind of saved my life. He said, "Hey, have you ever considered getting sober for yourself?" And I'm like, "No, I've never considered that."
Nope.
What?
And I go, how do I do that? And he goes, "Well, you have to love yourself." And I go, "That's impossible. Honest as shit." I look in the mirror, especially then, I'm like, that guy I do not even like. And then I came up with the thing. I took a picture of myself. I had a picture of myself when I was 4. And I'm like, well, that's me, and I love him, and he doesn't deserve to die of a drug overdose or whatever. So I had to take it out a lot every day just to remind myself. And then I called Roseanne. I go, "Listen, I love you. I appreciate you. I know why we're not getting married, and know why I'm not working on the show, but I'm going to stay here and do this for myself." And she went, "Oh, we're getting married." And I remember thinking, if I known that that would have been so easy, I would have just manipulated her and said bullshit her like, "I'm staying here for myself." But this time I'd actually kind of sat on it a little bit. I'm feeling it. So I get there, in rehab, you got to make a list of all the people you fucked over. It's a significant list. Like what and the way I understood it from that rehab was what you do, because you don't want to carry that around on your shoulders. So they screwed somebody over. So you got to make amends. And the way I understood it is you write them a note. And I remember writing, "Dear Denise, I'm sorry I ruined your credit. I'm sober now. Bye." And I thought, that feels good. That feels
Better. Anybody else feel better?
Yeah. But I also realized that I had a lot of, and I call them red check marks, because they make you make a list of good things, green things. And I figured at the end of your life, you die, and then God it totals up all the red check marks, and then he shells up the green check marks, and it's either up or down. And so again, I had a lot of red check marks. So what I learned in rehab that first time was that the best thing you could do, is save another addict alcoholic's life.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and I'm like, I got to save somebody's life as soon as I get out of here in case I die. For real. Like, that's how I was thinking. So the first day out, and this is how God works. I get home, I open up the National Enquirer, which is a very reputable newspaper, and on the front page is one of my childhood heroes, Peter Criss, the drummer for the band Kiss, the guy with the cat makeup on, and it said he's a homeless alcoholic crackhead living under the Santa Monica Pier. And I'm like, holy shit, I got 20 minutes. I live in Brentwood. I'll drive down there and save his life.
This is my moment.
This is when I had a Bentley and a mullet, which I have neither now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got 20 minutes. I go down there, and if you've ever been there in Santa Monica, on the, it's Ocean Avenue or whatever, I park my car right there. I get out of my car, start walking up the beach towards the pier, and I see some homeless guys. I'm like, "Hey, have you seen Peter Criss?" They're like, "You got $20?" I go, "Yeah, here, yeah, he's that way." And I did it a couple times. Now, this was back in the day, and the pier was not as glamorous as it is now, and they were doing some kind of construction underneath it, and so it was all tarped off. Those tarps, and it was basically a giant crack tent. That's a real thing.
Oh, no.
So I get under there, I open up the back of it, and about 30 yards, I see a guy with a 50-gallon drum, and it's like a drumstick, and he's like, boom, boom,
It's gotta
and he's
be
still
him.
got fans. Still fans. They're like, "Hey, yeah." So I make my way up to the guy, and I go, "Hey, are you Peter Criss?" He's like, you got $20? Like, yeah, I do. He goes, yes, I am. I go, well, this is your lucky day. I'm Tom Arnold. I'm here to save your life. Now, I'm on a time crunch, so I can't save all these fuckers' lives. Now, so I pick him up, throw him on my shoulder, start to walk out of the crack tent. And these guys, he's their meal ticket. They don't want me to take him out of there. So I had to fist fight homeless people. Just get out of there. I try to save man's life. And I get him up to my car, and I called the place I'd just gotten out of, New Beginnings, it was called, in Century City. I called, hey, it's me, Tom Arnold, great guy. I've got a new, I'm bringing in a new client, and he's a VIP, so we're on our way. And they're like, no, don't do that. No, we aren't going to have a bed for 72 hours. I'm like, fuck, I got to keep this fucker alive for 72. How do I do that? And so we go across the street on Ocean there. There's a little hotel. I check him in. I give him beer and food because I'm not a monster. But I tell him, hey, no fucking crack. There's no smoking whatsoever here. Like, it's the damage is positive. And so then I went back to work. And then the hotel manager's like, his buddies are coming across the street and smoking crack. I go, God damn it. So I had to go back down there with my little bat, get him out of there. Second day of this, day two, I get a call from a woman in Boston. She's like, I am Peter Criss's ex-girlfriend, and I want to fly him to Boston to save his life. I go, okay. First of all, I'm just saying, when I save his life tomorrow by getting him in rehab, and I get credit from God for saving his life, he's all yours. He's all yours.
After I get the credit.
Yeah, after I get the credit, because that's how I need that. And you're like, how did the woman in Boston know that you're saving Peter Criss's life? Well, there's something called anonymity that had not stuck, apparently, in my first rehab. And I did an interview with Entertainment Tonight saying, hey, it's me, Tom Arnold. I'm a good guy now. Forget that other shit. Anyway, I am saving Peter Criss's life. He's a homeless alcoholic crackhead living in the Santa Monica Pier. And so that's how she's on. So then the next day, I go to pick him up at the hotel. The hotel manager meets me out front and goes, bad news, Mr. Arnold. A limousine came and took Mr. Criss to the airport a few hours ago. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me. That bitch in Boston, man. She went behind me. She stabbed me in the back. God, I remember thinking, will I get half a green check mark for trying to save the guy's life? And then, but this is how, again, God works. About 5 hours later, I get a call from the woman in Boston. She's hysterical. She's like, oh, my God, he's here. He's throwing up all over the place. And he is not Peter Criss. Google this story. Google it. This is all real. And I'm like, holy shit. Holy shit. And in my defense, when he was under the pier, he did not have his cat makeup on. So I'm like, okay, this is very bad. This is very bad. And I thought, so this guy, this random guy, and he's out in Boston. He's screwed because she wants him out of her house because he's up here. So I was scrambling, and I thought, who's sober in Boston? And I remember Rolling Stone said that Aerosmith was sober in Boston. So I called Steve Tyler and Joe Perry and go, I got a situation out there with that. They went over. This is how you're really supposed to do it. They went over and picked that anonymous guy up and took him to rehab and saved his life. That's really how you're supposed to do it. So that was one. Now, when I took fake Peter Criss across the ocean the first time, a squad car had pulled up, and because he was all messed up, and the cops get out. I go, no, I got this, guys. It's his bachelor party. I'm taking care of him. And then they're like, okay. Anyway, when they find out the real story, they'll say they're pissed. Cops are pissed when you lie to them. So they came and arrested me. So I'm arrested for assaulting homeless people, which is very bad. And then kidnapping this random dude from underneath a pier who's in Boston now. So, it's bad. And so they take me down to the police station, and they're just screaming at me, as they should. And I'm waiting on my lawyer. And a detective comes into the interrogation room, and he's like, give me a minute here with Mr. Arnold alone. And so they leave, and he goes, hey, so let me get straight. You went down to the Santa Monica Pier by yourself to save a man's life. I mean, I go, yeah, that's what we do. He goes, I mean, you fucked it all up, but you did. I go, that's how we do it, man. We were here. He goes, I'll tell you what, you do that one more time, we'll see about dropping some of these charges. I go, I'll do it. You fucking do it. He goes, well, there's a cop we work with here, and he's got some issues. He lives about, I forget, Pacoima or something. And he's going to be dead by the weekend. Now, we legally can't go into his house and get him. I go, I'll go into his fucking house and get him. And the guy's like, the Jack's like, he's got a lot of guns. I go, I don't care about guns. Does he have a dog? Because they're the wild cards, you know?
True.
And they said, no dog. So the two, I had him draw up what his house looked like. So I knew what come in the front door, go over here. And I knew there's a hallway, take a left. That's where the living room is. I knew he'd be there. I said, we're doing it at 8 a.m. Because as a person that's done drugs, I know 8 a.m. is not you're not 100%. You're probably making calls from somebody to, get your. So we go over there and then we park a block away. It's the two original cops. And they told me later when I got out of the car, they're like, okay, when he kills Arnold, we're going to say it was a home invasion. So they're like, so they give me this little battery. I don't know, battery grab. I wish I still had it. So I get to the front door. Pop the front door open, and here comes a pit bull running down the hall straight at me. I'm like, God damn it! They promised no dogs. Now, I turn to the right. That dog just keeps going, like because dogs know shit's going down. Like that dog wanted out of that house. So I walked out. I come around the corner to the living room. There he is. It's like a big glass, low living room table. And he's got booze and drugs and the phone and guns on the table, and he's all fucked up. And I'm like, and he looks up at me and he goes, first of all, he goes, what the fuck is Tom Arnold doing in my house? I go, I'm here to save your life, buddy. It's your lucky day. We're going to rehab. Let's roll. And he's like, the fuck we are. And he gets up. He's messed up. So he takes a swing at me. But, anyway, I drag him out of there. They take him to the hospital, to rehab. And that guy is still sober. I don't know how many years ago but that cop, I see him once in a while. So that's a happy ending.
That is a happy ending.
And another thing happened. When I first heard about Peter Criss being a homeless alcoholic crackhead, I called Gene Simmons, who was my neighbor, who's the bass player for Kiss. And I said, Gene, Jesus, did you know Peter Criss, a homeless alcoholic crackhead, living in the Santa Monica Pier? And he's like, oh my God, that's so sad. We haven't toured together in a long time. I'm like, yeah. And then I got to call him back. Gee, great news. Peter Criss is not a homeless alcoholic crackhead living on the Santa Monica Pier. And they did tour together. After that. So I swear if you Google it, you'll see I definitely put the band back there. And the real Peter Criss, by the way, when I was on Entertainment Tonight, he's sitting there with his wife, his mother, his kids, completely sober. And I'm on TV going, Peter Criss, a crackhead. He lives on the Santa Monica Pier. He sued me for $50 fucking million. Of course.
Oh, no.
But there's the last thing, there's a episode of Donahue. You guys are too young to remember Donahue.
Oh, Phil.
But
we know him.
You can look it up on the internet. And it's me and my big fat face, fake Peter Criss, real Peter Criss, fake girlfriend. And I'm just like, it's just humiliating for me because I'm having to admit that all these mistakes. But, I saved his life. What can I do?